But then, yeah, today we had the big announcement for the new engine, which is really exciting. And then tomorrow, somewhere between 3 and 4 Central, they're going to be showing 18 minutes of Ghost of Tsushima for the first time. So I hope to cover that live. I guess we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. So yeah, I think we'll jump right into the Unreal stuff. For those who haven't seen that yet, this is pretty cool if you haven't seen it. So for those who don't know, the Unreal Engine is made by Epic Games, and the engine itself is responsible for many, 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 many games that are out there. And so whenever they come out with a new version, which is not very often, it's very exciting for the gaming industry because it's basically them pushing things forward, you know, graphics, sound, and what developers are actually able to do with it. So let's go ahead and kick this off, and I'll sort of commentate it along the way. But yeah, if you guys have... Wait, where's my camera? Oh, God. Things are happening. Bad things are happening. How about I do this? There we go. All right, here we go. Loud.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, Art Director of the Special Project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were 2 key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static, and I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
And we call this new system Lumen. And we're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward. Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. We could directly use film quality assets and bring them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data, without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Awesome. Let's take a look at it.
So let's stop right there. So this is technically the first time that we've seen anything graphic-wise from the PS5. Something else that you guys should know is that this video was originally done in 4K, and then it was downgraded to 1080, and then I'm streaming it to you filtered. So what they're actually going to show is going to look even better than what I can present to you. So if you're somebody who actually has a 4K monitor, after we get done watching this, if you want to see how good it really looks, I would invite you to go find the original videos and check it out. So, I mean, what we're going to see is going to look impressive, but I'm just trying to tell you that it looks even better when it's not doubly compressed. Okay?
Look at it.
This has to be the right way.
Before we continue, let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Pixel Megascan assets, but instead of using the game versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each, and thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What does that many triangles look like? This isn't noise. These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel. which means triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic, with the power of Lumen that even includes multi-bounce global illumination. No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone. With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and the bounce changes instantly. Okay, let's keep going.
Pretty impressive.
We've made some great additions to our audio system as well. Convolution reverb allows us to measure reverberation characteristics of real spaces, like actual caves that we sampled, and reproduce them in virtual spaces. Sound field rendering allows us to record and playback spatialized audio. All of this adds up to a more
All right, I'm going to stop it right there for a second. Basically, what we have seen thus far is the kind of stuff they show you in cinematics. The fact that when we're actually going to be playing games in the next couple years, this actually happening in real time is going to be incredible.
Immersive experience.
And to think this is a PS5, it's going to be even better on PC.
This swarm of bats was created with our Niagara effects system. Particles in Niagara can now talk to one another and understand their environment like never before.
What?
We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below.
Yeah, it's probably about the best water I've ever seen, especially with the flashing.
The demo runs on our chaos physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf. Now that the environment is so complex, we've needed to greatly improve our animation systems to adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Looks promising.
Dynamic GI is amazing, not just for speeding up iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
Nice.
Any light source can move while still having beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces. You can even see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry.
All right, we got to stop right there. Because that right there, I don't know how many of you caught that. That was amazing. And no game has ever done anything like that. Also, I want to go back and just for something that something that Fordster just said. For anybody who's wondering, the game they're showing right now, this is not a real game. They basically created a game to show off the hardware, to show off the engine. So this is not like a real game. So they're just saying that if they make a Tomb Raider, if they make an Uncharted, if they make any game, this is how it could look. This is what can happen now. That's what this is showing. So the games that we get 2, 3, 4, 5 plus years down the road, these are all things that can happen now. And yeah, as a couple people have said in chat, Fallen Order was using Unreal Engine, so Fallen Order 2 could look exactly like this, if not better. No, what I wanted to show you here, we're gonna back up the tape here. Watch what happens when these rocks fall. We've had many games where you have rocks fall out of the sky or whatever, but watch what happens with the lighting. This is like insane.
Means specular as
How
well,
good this is.
which you can see on all the metal surfaces. You can even see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry. Remember we mentioned high poly assets? This statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles. No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs. And we can do more than a single statue. There are nearly 500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone. Over this entire demo, there are hundreds of billions of triangles.
Just more detail than we've ever seen before.
So with Nanite, you have limitless geometry, and with Lumen, you have fully dynamic lighting and global illumination, all running on a PlayStation 5.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
Gonna need my sunglasses to play this.
The portal, it's open. Don't fail me now.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if this actually does become a game at some point. That does happen with tech demos quite often.
It's time to see what's next.
There you go, Unreal Engine 5.
There you go. The Unreal Engine 5 is real, and that was the first real-time footage of something running on the PlayStation 5 as well. Such an amazing day, I think, for gamers to get a glimpse at where games are going next. And now it's my honor to be joined by three guys from Epic to talk a little bit about today's announcement. Of course, we've got Tim Sweeney, Kim LeBerry, and Nick Penwarden. Guys, thanks for joining me here virtually. This is a really big and exciting day. I mean, I think I just was so blown away when I saw this footage about what UE5 can do. And Tim, this is, I know, a special moment for you to have, put a 5 on this Unreal Engine. I remember the first time you showed me the original Unreal Engine. I think it was like 1996 at E3 at a Marriott Marina Del Rey. And I was looking back last night at like the old Next Generation magazine cover with like, can you believe this is what a PC screenshot of the original Unreal Engine, how far we've come. Tell me, I mean, this is a big moment for Epic, but what does this mean to sort of the company right now to be able to, debut the first PlayStation 5 footage, but also, introduce, a new numbered version of Unreal?
Well, this really is a generational leap or more in technological capabilities. And the hardware that Sony is launching is absolutely phenomenal. Not only an unprecedented amount of graphics power, but also a completely new storage architecture that blows past architectures out of the water, and is far ahead of even the state of the art and the highest end PCs you can buy. And so, with Unreal Engine 5, we set out to build a new generation of technology that empowers creators to create photorealistic scenes that are indistinguishable from reality, and to do so with a very high degree of productivity. Right? I mean, there are two problems in game development. Right? One is the features needed to achieve complete realism. But the other big problem is just the cost and time it takes for an artist to create a major new piece of content for a next generation game. And so Unreal Engine 5 attacks both of those problems. We have the nanite system for virtual geometry, enabling sub-pixel geometry, which is imperceptibly different from the full high-quality assets, or the movie-quality assets that were originally scanned. Also, the Lumen, the real-time global illumination system, not only to bring unprecedented quality and lighting to the environments, but also to free artists from having to worry about the details of lighting their levels, and make all of these trade-offs in static lighting versus dynamic lighting. And so we're really trying to empower developers here, and to enable developers to create a new generation of experiences that are both unbelievably realistic, but also economical and practical for them to create without having to have a 1,000-person team.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that...
Let me go ahead and just stop right there for a second. Just to kind of talk about something that Neff had said. The funny thing is that Epic is such a large company. There's so many people out there who say, oh, Epic, you mean the guys who do Fortnite? And there's a lot of people who think that Epic does Fortnite and they do nothing else, when in fact the company is actually, split into different divisions. And Neff was talking a little bit about the Epic Game Store and some of the stuff that's going on there, but the actual engine that we're talking about here and then the previous versions have been around for a very, very long time, and they've been very much a leader in the gaming industry for a very, very long time. As I said at the start, there are so many games that use Unreal Engine 3 and 4. So the fact that they're finally getting an upgrade with 5, and actually just kind of like what they just mentioned a second ago, they're trying to make it so that you can actually make games quicker and easier. He was just talking about the lighting system. It's like, oh, they don't have to manually build a lighting system because we have it built in and they can just move it and do whatever. So that's going to be really cool for developers. But back to the actual company, it's like the people who are building this engine are not the same people who are sitting there coding Fortnite, right? And the people that are running the Epic Game Store are not the same people that are, building Unreal 5. So it's one of those things where you have just a company that's so large and you have different heads doing different things. And so, yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are really unhappy with the way that the Epic Game Store is and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. I don't know. Any other questions in chat? I'm not going to watch this entire interview. We'll watch a bit more of it. And for anybody who wants to watch the whole thing, you can, like I said, check it out on YouTube. Starhawk, you're asking, is it better than the Unity engine? Yeah, it is. Yeah, Unreal is definitely on the higher end of things. And a lot of companies have their own universal engines. So like Ubisoft, as an example, they have an engine called Snowdrop, and that's like their engine. And, EA has their engine. But Unreal is just an engine that anybody can use. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Footage, in 4K, I mean, just the level of detail is absolutely stunning. Kim, maybe you could break down a little bit of this, sort of visually what's happening that makes it look so incredible? Because I know you've got a couple of new systems that you're really proud of, and maybe talk about Nanite and what that is and how it works and how it's going to kind of shape games moving forward.
Okay, so Nanite is a new geometry system for Unreal Engine that lets us get down to almost sub-pixel levels of detail on the screen. You know, it's possible because we have a new generation of hardware that really allows us to put loads and loads of triangles at the screen. And we thought that we'd come up with a new technique that allowed us to be able to create content in a similar way to the way that they do on movies today. So in fact, when you look at that demo, all them assets, Nana is basically ingesting all the movie quality assets from Quicksilver to make that scene. And the artist doesn't even have to think about it. They can move rocks and mountains and statues wherever they want in the scene and not have to worry about triangle costs anymore. Lumen, the global illumination system that Tim mentioned, that just produces incredibly realistic and accurate bounce lighting. So wherever you place a light in the scene, its effect on the whole world is seen instantly by just moving things around. It's amazing.
Yeah, when I saw that demo, I was just so blown away by the visual fidelity, and also I think how much felt, at least to me as an end user, how much felt that so much of the environment was streaming in real time in so much detail, especially that sequence where she's flying through the environment. Mark Cerny has talked a lot about PlayStation 5 and the incredible bandwidth it's going to have to move data from the SSD right onto screen. Nick, can you maybe talk a bit about how that's sort of manifesting itself in this demo? I assume some of those improvements in PS5 are enabling types of things that just weren't possible in previous generations.
Yeah, so Nanite enabled the artist to build a scene with geometric complexity that would have been impossible before. There are tens of billions of triangles in that scene, and we simply couldn't have them all in memory at once. And so what we end up needing to do is streaming in triangles as the camera is moving throughout the environment. And the I/O capabilities of PlayStation 5 are one of the key hardware features that enable us to achieve 100% built for that level of realism.
Yeah, no, it's stunning to see that, and I think also the global illumination. I think people have heard that concept before, but now really manifesting sort of in real time in that environment with the flashlight or some of the other lighting scenes. Can you guys maybe break down sort of from the gamer perspective, like how games are going to change because of the full global illumination?
Well, first of all, this enables a much wider variety of games to have very realistic responses to light. Everything from large-scale open-world types of games, with day-night cycles, being seamless transitions from indoor to outdoor. It's it makes lighting one of the things that the developers don't have to worry about, and it's a freeing technology. Not only does it mean more real-time lighting in games, but it also means there's a large set of problems that were very tricky in the previous generation that developers just don't need to worry about. And so I think you're going to see a much wider variety of types of games, taking advantage of Lumen and taking advantage of Nanite. And one of the core elements of every new generation transition is new hardware capabilities with an order of magnitude improvement over previous generations enable entirely new types of games to develop. The Battle Royale genre didn't even take off until the current generation, where you finally had enough computing and graphics power to enable a 100-player game with very, very high fidelity encounters. This new generation of technology that we're building with Unreal Engine 5 and that Sony's empowering with PlayStation 5 will enable entirely new types of game experiences that we can't even anticipate yet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of weeks about the next generation and kind of will the leap be as great as previous generations? What are the types of things we're going to see? I think this demo, at least to me, is the first kind of real-time example of something that really grabs me. And I just want to confirm, like, what we're seeing there, that's all, like, you can actually play that with a controller? Like, that's not kind of frame dumped or anything? That's actually playable?
It's a fully playable demo, and we plugged in a recorder into the back of a PlayStation 5 dev kit and recorded the signal that came out over HDMI. So it's a totally live demo, and it's replayable, and it's a little bit different every time you play it.
Wow. No, because I mean, that flight sequence, everything, that's what's so exciting to me is like, this is, real-time footage. So what do you guys think? I mean, when people say like, what is the leap of this generation going to be to sort of, previous generations from like PlayStation 3 to 4 or whatnot? Is it any different this time? Is it going to be greater, less, or we don't know yet?
I think the sense of immersion, one of the great things about playing games is you can transport it to places that you could never go in the normal world. This level of lighting and detail really gets you to a point where you're feeling like you're inside a movie set. Things are so realistic, and it's gonna aid the storytelling. I think that the sense of immersion, the feeling a player gets from actually visiting a space will be much deeper than you've ever seen before.
And the ability of the hardware and the engine to stream in massive amounts of content as you're going through a huge environment, I think that's going to have a much bigger impact on gaming than people are expecting right now. Until this next generation of hardware, previous generation console games had to be built to load data off of a spinning mechanical device, right? That has its roots in the 1950s, and now. Sony's storage system is absolutely world class. Not only the best in class in console, but also the best on any platform, better than high-end PC. I think this is going to enable
that I don't believe.
The types of immersion that we only could have dreamed of in the past. The world of loading screens is over. And
you're saying that my $5,000 PC is on par with a PS5? I don't believe that. Sorry.
The days of pop in and geometry popping up as you're going through these game environments are ended, and the resulting effect is the ability to build games that are fully immersive from start to finish over hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Yeah, they're marketing the PS5 a bit with this. But.
Yeah, no, incredible what I think this is going to enable. We've talked a lot about PS5. We know obviously Unreal Engine runs kind of across all platforms, including mobile and PC and Xbox, of course. What's your take on what you're showing here? How is that going to scale to to other systems? Like this demo we're seeing, is that will that run on the Xbox Series X? Will it run on PC? How will it be different? Can you guys give us some context on that?
Well, I mean, Unreal Engine 5 is going to run across all of our supported platforms, next generation console, current generation consoles, as well as mobile devices. One of the key features that we've been working on is being able to build content once and deploy it across devices. So on higher end hardware where we can support Nanite directly, we'll be able to render scenes at the fidelity that you just saw, like on PlayStation 5. For, say, an Android or iOS mobile device, what we will be able to do is have tools that help to scale that content down so that you'll be able to take the game that you built at the highest fidelity level,
scale it down
console,
like this,
and bring it to all other devices.
Tim, do you have a sense between sort of all the Xbox, PlayStation, all these other systems, they've made somewhat different choices, also some similar ones, obviously with SSDs in both. Do you have a sense of how they're going to sort of compare in terms of power, or how you look at sort of the overall landscape?
Well, we love all of our babies, and we can't make comparisons or pick favorites. But the nanite technology we showed
Don't
here
make me choose
is going to run
the
across
fuzzy
all
Yoda
next generation
and the fuzzy Wookiee.
consoles and high-end PC. And most importantly, this is what's possible in the absolute best hardware that's going to exist at the end of the year. But these experiences you build, we will help developers scale down to every device that exists in the world. And we really hope to empower all developers to do what we've done with Fortnite in this generation, which is build an absolutely no sacrifices high-end console game, and then bring it to every device, including scaling it down to iOS and Android devices from years ago, so that we can reach a much larger audience of gamers than just the hardcore some 200 million console players in the world.
So Kim, I know a lot of gamers around the world watched that footage and said, wow, I want to play that, but I'm sure they're also trying to kind of extrapolate out of that, since it's this is not a game, it's a demo. How their games are going to feel different in the next generation. And one of the things that I really took away from it was that flight sequence at the end, which was just incredible, and with the sort of the rubble coming down and things moving. Could you maybe talk about sort of how the game experience might change with UE5? Sure, it's going to look visually more beautiful, but how is it going to play different?
So traditionally on this current generation, if you wanted to make a photorealistic environment, the way that people do that is they bake lighting into the environment. The problem with that means the environment is not dynamic. You can't move things around. You can't incorporate user-generated content because you don't know what it is prior to shipping your game. But with this technology, with the Lumen technology and Nanite, it means that worlds can be super rich and super dynamic. So not just destructible components, but mutating components and things that change beyond the release of the game. Every day, an environment could have grown and changed, and that can all be calculated live.
And does that extend to, like, you know, I assume like destructible environments and whatnot, and allowing people to sort of, you know, really like just, I mean, that sequence in the flight where you sort of, you know, saw the sort of tower crash down or whatever, I mean, that felt to me, I mean, I just hadn't seen that level of detail in a game like that. And some games like Uncharted or whatever sometimes have big destruction moments, but it felt like that was so detailed and so realistic. Is that partially because you can now move the environment more in real time?
Yes, and even effects like when we open that big dome where all the statues are, the light just floods in and bounces all over the place. You know, you really, the way you would have had to do that in the past is you would have to cheat. And now it can be fully dynamic. You can blow a hole in the sky and the light will come through, and, you know, even choose randomly colored lights. If you put them into the scene as a player, then they're going to have an effect on the whole world and it'll still look realistic.
So in the past, you could get that effect, but it would have to be sort of pre-calculated, I guess? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, exactly. And even if you want to, like, if you're saying you're in a dungeon and you place a light, you know, you see you've got a candle that you happen to have in the game and you place it, that will bounce around corners. So you can explore with limited light sources. And the old-fashioned gag of having a flashlight beam isn't what you need anymore. You can actually use light in really interesting ways.
Yeah, and, you know, even beyond games, Unreal Engine has been, you know, applied to so many amazing, you know, aspects of entertainment. Of course, you know, I think everyone knows The Mandalorian, how that used Unreal Engine, and you know, there's the Weather Channel. I mean, there's so many other uses of UE. Can you guys talk about how sort of UE5 is going to, you know, kind of tie into those experiences? And I think, you know, I assume you see this convergence of kind of everything coming together through an engine like Unreal in terms of just realizing entertainment. How will UE5 sort of, you know, be used in those fields, or how will that change the pipeline for non-game experiences too?
So one of the great things about Nanite is that it finally allows content creators of all kinds to be able to use movie quality assets. So there really won't be a difference. If you're building an environment for a film versus a video game, or you're making an IP that's transmedia, you can build things the same way now. And that was, you know, we had so much exposure to film customers over the last few years using our engine that we really wanted to remove the barrier for them and for all game makers. Right now, you pick a high resolution asset you want, you load it in, you don't have to think about making levels of detail or normal maps or any of the usual stuff that goes with making game content. It's a pretty freeing experience for anybody trying to tell a story or to make an experience.
That's amazing. So, you know, in the eyes of a consumer, like, you'll see an asset that's in, you know, a movie, and that they literally can drag that over to the game now, whereas I guess in the past they would have to sort of, you know, reduce down the polygons and kind of scale it down for a game engine.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, Quicksilver, that's also part of Epic, their assets, they come, when you take an asset from the Quicksilver store, there is a movie quality version that would be used in movies. You know, I guess they were involved a lot in the Jungle Book movie a few years ago, and many movies today use Quicksilver assets. And they also have versions of them assets that are suitable for games. Now, you don't have to have that distinction. Nanite will just take the movie asset and do the right things.
We're going to get movie quality games, chat.
One of the things I know when you guys moved to UE4, a lot of people, you know, were worried about, oh, it's, you know, it's breaking some of the pipeline of things that people had done previously. And it sounds like with this engine, you're saying it's going to be kind of a pretty seamless transition to UE5, right? That's important for you, sort of have the forwards compatibility?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of pause that for a second, kind of based on what Linewalker was saying in chat. If there's a movie that's using this technology, I wonder if down the road, if they're actually going to say, hey, we're currently making this movie using this technology, but the same technology can be used for a game. Why not make the movie and the game at the exact same time? So the next time they release I don't know, Jumanji, they'll release a movie, and then later they can release the game, and it's going to be near identical because they can actually use the same assets. That's kind of crazy.
We want to support developers bringing their games from UE4 to UE5, and in fact, we will be doing that ourselves with Fortnite. So we will be shipping Fortnite on next generation console on UE4.
So that's going to be one of the big questions. So they confirmed that today that Fortnite, they're just going to basically port Fortnite from Engine 4 to Engine 5. I wonder how many other games are going to do that and come out with remastered versions. And because of how this works, it's going to be so much easier. So we were talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order earlier. Maybe they do a straight remaster of that game, making it look 1,000 times better in UE5. So I think it's very possible. Or I wonder if they could even do that as a free update. Maybe.
And then next year we will be bringing Fortnite to UE5 as well. So we'll be testing out that experience of bringing a game along from UE4 to UE5 and making sure the transition is manageable.
Wow. Yeah. Fortnite obviously is such a phenomenon, as you mentioned earlier, Tim, with, battle royales. But also I feel like
I think we can probably start wrapping up at this point. Yeah. For anybody who wants to see the rest of this interview, they can definitely go check out the video like I mentioned earlier. So any final thoughts from you guys in chat about this? Overall, I think the big thing is that, this is obviously not going to happen tomorrow. We're not going to see a game really using this technology for several years down the road. It'll be interesting to see exactly how fast somebody can get the first, version 5 out and what it's going to look like and how it's going to play and all that. But basically, this game demo that they created for this, you can say, oh, it really looks like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider. So it'll be interesting to see if they do another Tomb Raider with the 5 engine or an Uncharted with the 5 engine. Or, like I said earlier, a lot of times these demos do become real games at some point down the road. So maybe this actually is a real thing at some point. Do you think there'll be anything PlayStation exclusive? I can guarantee you, yeah. But, at the rate that the PlayStation games have been coming to PC here recently, we'll have to kind of see. But, I don't know about you guys, but to me, as a gamer, just seeing the technology continue to sort of evolve is really exciting for me. And we've talked about it quite a bit and how, we started out with, your Nintendos and your Segas and your N64s, and you go from that type of graphic to what we're seeing right here on screen. It's pretty amazing on how things have continued to grow. And we look over the last couple years where like something like God of War won so many Game of the Year awards. And just a few years later, now we're seeing something like this, where this is going to be the future in the coming years. It's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Did they say anything about what kind of PC requirements would be needed for the new engine? No. And I think that comes down to the game, Line Walker. That's why every game always has to release their own, minimum specs and recommended and all that stuff, because it's like, sure, it's an engine, but within the engine, they could still do whatever they want. I mean, they could take this engine and, make Cuphead, if they wanted to. So it doesn't have to be a photorealistic game. They can still, do cartoony stuff. I mean, Fortnite is on this engine, and that's a, very artistic style, right? Fortnite, that game will run on a potato.
Welcome to Kid Lee's Dojo. Yes, scruffy looking nerf herder.
Hey, Brawlmate, how's it going? Coming in with the T114. Thank you very much. But yeah, just overall, really, really cool stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see what developers are able to do with it. And it could be that Fallen Order will in fact be one of the first games on this new engine, because we already know they're working on it on the next one. So cool stuff. Well, for those watching on YouTube, there's our little presentation on this new engine. Hope everybody enjoyed it. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Everybody keep playing, have fun, and we'll see you next time.